I just feel like ESPN is just the wrong platform. I felt like they should
Oh,
have just went.
bullshit. You were singing there. Go back to episode 1, everyone, when this son of a bitch was singing their praises and said it was such a good idea. And he comes back here now and says it's bullshit. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Wrestling is Now Shitty podcast. I am your host, the man with the degree in wrestlingology, Dr. Legend, joined as always with my esteemed colleague, Midnight.
Welcome to the podcast, baby. I break your back, make you humble, and then I give you 5 stars like a David Meltzer should.
Oof. How you doing, Midnight? You watching any good wrestling this week?
I did. I watched a pretty eventful Monday Night Raw. It was pretty good. And there's a lot of big news outside of wrestling, outside of what happened on Raw and SmackDown this week. So it's been a lot to talk about, a lot to think about.
Yeah, we're moving in next week to John Cena's final match, quote unquote, allegedly, because God, you never know these days with wrestlers. I know in the history of wrestling, how many announced final matches have actually like stuck? Because we know Terry Funk is the Brett Favre of wrestling and just keeps retiring and coming back. But like, I don't know. Not a lot of wrestlers really announce they're going out and saying, "Oh, this is their final match," or they make a big deal out of it. But they're making a big deal out of it for John Cena. But so that's where we are, guys. Next week we will be reviewing the Saturday Night Main Event PLE. But we just want to thank all of you guys for listening in. Thank you to all of our subscribers, both new and old. That's the reason why we do this, guys. You know, Midnight and I usually only get 1 hour a week to hang out, and this is what we do. We talk shit about wrestling and have a good time doing it. Thank you for tuning in and making that time possible. And if you want to be part of the show, send us an email to winspodcastlive@gmail.com, and we will answer your questions live on our show and make you a part of it. So without further ado, let's turn on that Boomertron and jump right to it. All right. When we're talking about puking on a pile of shit, Jey Uso and LA Knight had their match on Raw, and has Jey Uso suffered his ultimate crash out and burnout as he threw somewhat of a mild temper tantrum at the end of his loss to LA Knight, who advanced in the last time is now tournament. But a move like this is really indicative of a heel turn, especially for booked baby faces of the past. He's been on quite a losing streak. I don't know, Midnight. What do you think about the match and your thoughts on this overall?
Well, I thought about Chris Jericho when I saw the crash out, and I'm celebrating with my Yeet t-shirt today because just like Terry Taylor said to Chris Jericho, Chris Jericho walks up to Terry Taylor and he goes, "What's up?" And Terry Taylor says, "Your career, we're turning you heel." And that night on Monday Night Raw, Jericho had a crash out very similar to the crash out Jey Uso had. Now it was pretty unoriginal kind of heel turn, but the way Jey Uso's character's been built, it's kind of the only way they really could have done it, because there's no logical way for him to like be evil to somebody. He's got to get angry first, and he's gotten angry, and I think we're turning Jey Uso heel. I think they want to. I think Paul Heyman has gotten to the writing team and is like, listen, we need to build a roster of monster heels and a few baby faces to take them on. And we don't have enough, but we have some talent that maybe we can shift. And I think this is the direction that they're going in.
I 100% agree. I think it's the right move for Jay. Unfortunately, everyone knows being a face is the hardest thing you can do, especially trying to get over. And white meat is that, like, some of the biggest faces of all time, like, still have an edge to them, Austin, Rock, and like our classics. And look what it did to Roman Reigns' career. His career was set back maybe half a decade, putzing around, being this white meat baby face that nobody cared about, but they wanted to push him as the face of the company because they really had no one else. Cena was 1 foot in Hollywood, half out the door, and they needed somebody to take that role. And I think, Roman suffered. It wasn't until he turned heel that people started actually enjoy and respect and like him. Like, I mean, I wasn't a Roman Reigns fan, back in the day. Another thing I think that kills it for faces is he wore that stupid vest all the time.
Yeah.
It kills the look if you don't look like a star. And then finally we got rid. Look at this. He doesn't wear this shit, and he's super over. So to Jay to do this, I think the storyline is right. Look, he was on top of the mountain and was quickly and unceremoniously thrown off of it, and he's been trying to claw his way back ever since. And the idea is maybe he didn't deserve it. Like maybe it was all luck that he got him there. And I'm thinking storyline wise. I'm not thinking like popularity
Yeah.
wise. I'm trying to build this story for Jay to make it kind of proper to build him as that heel. And so, you know what? No one thinks I belong here. I'm gonna prove I belong here. And he's gonna start stomping in front of the faces of people. And like I think it would behoove him to have a real proper match like with Roman Reigns as a heel, where he goes on all the stops and like maybe at the end, like the ref's out and he's got the chair in his face and Roman gives him a look like, no, don't do it. Like I did this, I know it's wrong. And then he just clubs him with the chair and takes him out just to show he's got that edge to him and help put him over the top. Because when you have great villains, it makes your faces that much better. It helps them when they have those challenges and you have a really good, and I don't think Jay's got the merit in him to be a top heel, like, one of the greatest of all time. But I think it'll help his career out a whole lot for him to turn heel right now and kind of practice a bit more and get more confidence in that main event scene by becoming a heel. But either way, like, I didn't care for the match. I thought, it's two guys I don't like wrestling in a tournament that was thrown together. So there wasn't a lot of stakes in this. But I think the after effects of the match was the most important, and they made the right call as far as that is concerned. So I'm a fan. I'm gonna be watching this. I'm gonna be looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's see where it goes. I mean, they may have something here. He could really be mean again like he was with the bloodline, and we'll see who he ends up wrestling at WrestleMania, because that's going to be interesting.
All right, moving on. Braun Breaker takes one giant leap into the main event scene as he is challenging CM Punk on the 1 year anniversary show on Netflix. Now, I was very excited for this promo coming up, but I was also very nervous because they're building Braun up to be this Goldberg esque figure, but in the end, he's a Steiner. He's not that big, like height wise, so his doesn't have
Yeah.
this overall impressive stature. He's still a beast. Don't get me wrong. He's a fucking tank when he's going. He works like a great machine, but he's got that detriment going to him, and also his voice. He doesn't have
Yeah.
a strong voice. He's honestly, to me, is it me or is Braun Breaker like the perfect amalgam of both Rick and Scott Steiner? He's got Rick's body and beast-like attitude and work in the ring, and he's got his uncle's mannerisms and the way he delivers promos. And when he started the promo, I was a bit nervous. But by the end of the promo, I got fucking goosebumps. Like, I was into it. I was on board. Like, he delivered this promo as if this was his only shot ever to get a championship match. And he was like, they must have told him in the back, it's like, look, if you fuck this up, this will be your only time in the spotlight because we won't be able to do anything with you again. And he fucking went for it and he nailed it. People were talking about that. Now, I don't think he verbally destroyed CM Punk as WWE put it. That's a very tall order to do on the mic against CM Punk. But he sold himself well and made me more invested for this match than I thought I would ever be.
Yeah, this was Braun Breaker's like coming out promo. This was not a pipe bomb. This was not Austin 316. This was, hey, I'm here to stay. I'm a main eventer, because he's been hiding behind Paul Heyman's microphone, which is okay to do for a while, but he had his shot. Like, okay, we're gonna give you the mic. You got to nail it. You can tell he's still a little nervous and his confidence isn't quite there, but he did deliver a very good promo. and he's getting his shot a lot earlier than I thought he was going to get, but clearly they see something in him. Now, about his height, he's like 6 feet tall, I think, right? Which is,
Hmm.
I mean, that's a pretty good size guy, but he's not Brock Lesnar, right? He's not 6'3", 6'4", right? He's not imposing, but they could turn him into, instead of like a Brock Lesnar esque type of wrestler, they can turn him into like a more intense, like Kurt Angle, like full speed powerhouse, maybe with a little less technicality, but more of like wrestling machine type of mentality, right? Like, because remember when Angle had the wrestling machine gimmick, he was doing tons of suplexes, more so than he had ever. He wasn't doing a lot of chain wrestling. So
He
this
could
could
be
be a
a
really,
great he could be a great hybrid of that, I think. And in fact,
yeah,
I would love to see him do what Angle used to do in his machine gimmick, where he would be like, "All right, go. I'll give you a free headlock," and like, come on, step into my yard. This is my domain. See if you can hang with me." And then just beast him around, because he can do the power stuff and he could do the technical stuff. He's a very, very talented wrestler, and I want to see more of his work in the ring. I think his matches are really, really good. He sells well, he delivers moves well, he's pretty safe, all things considered. Um, but his promos where I always was a bit nervous at. And the first real promo I saw him do was the Steiner Math promo at WrestleMania 41.
that
And I
was
loved that. That
hilarious.
was great. I
That
was like,
was
oh shit, this guy
hilarious.
can talk. But that was as a face, and that was him just selling himself. Now working as a heel, it's easier, albeit very easy to be a heel and do that. But selling himself here to prove that he belongs in the main event, which is basically him getting a rocket up his ass, was a big challenge. And I think they did the right thing here, and I think he's gonna do okay. The only quandrum or conundrum I have with this is like doing this show on the main event or the anniversary of Netflix. Like, it's special to Netflix, but not to wrestling fans. You know, we want it on a PLE or somewhere special. Did you hear the scuttlebutt is apparently Braun is the favorite to win the Rumble now? But I'm like, he's in a main event title match. And like, of all right, fantasy booking, here we go. Uh, we do the match with CM Punk, and there's a schmoz or something like that. Interference, DQ. Braun doesn't get his chance, and he feels screwed. He goes up to the GM, yells, curses. I was like, all right, Braun, I'll give you a chance. You're in the Royal Rumble, and that makes him even more mad. And so then he goes on a hunt, Stone Cold Steve Austin wise, and
Yes.
starts tear assing through the back any potential people who could get in his way, and pisses them off. Let him build him up. You know what they need to do to Braun Breaker to build this beast up? Give him the 1994 Diesel treatment, where he's in the ring in the Rumble by himself and he's just being fed guys that he throws over the top. Like, this is my yard. I belong here. Who's going to take me out? And you know, the only person to stop him, bam, Randy Orton's music hit. And then we have a go at it. But that's, if I was going to book Braun Breaker that way, that's the way I would do it right now.
It's indicative of how they feel about Braun Breaker, because see, on the microphone, like you said, going up toe to toe with CM Punk, like if they were to go mic to mic, obviously he can't compete with CM Punk. But in the ring, CM Punk is like a godsend for someone like Braun Breaker, because Punk can take care of him. He can get the spots in order. He can really scope the match out to where they're both going to look fantastic. So not only am I happy to see Braun get elevated, I'm also looking forward to see the match, because I don't think he's going to beat Punk for the title. But I think that Braun, if he does well in this match, it's going to turn a lot of heads in the writing room, and they're going to say, okay, now we have Braun win the Rumble, and now he takes on Punk again at WrestleMania. And for now, we get another, 4-month program of Braun tormenting Punk, kind of like how Drew tormented Punk. Uh, for a while, and it culminates in a match at WrestleMania, and we go from there. But it looks like Braun Breaker's our next big heel, and it's exciting because he's so young and he's so athletic, and there's a lot of history there, and he's kind of over, like the fans are chanting oof 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 oof. There's it's great. Like, this is exciting. It really is.
And perfect culmination. Guess who a SummerSlam opponent would be? Seth Rollins.
Oh.
There you go. He's coming back to take his vision back. Speaking of opponents, the last time is now tournament is ended, and Gunther will be facing John Cena at Saturday Night Main Event. And I, for one, couldn't be happier because he's doing so upon a trail of LA Knight fan tears. The match
Uh,
overall was okay. I knew when LA Knight started selling the neck, it was over. Like the only wrestler in history to ever sell something himself and walk away a winner is Bret Hart, because that's just his move. That's his playing possum move. But what do you think about Gunther being Cena's final opponent?
it's kind of weird. I think that they feel like Gunther's a safe opponent for the match to be good, because I think they want people to remember the match more so than the opponent. And he obviously Gunther's a heel, so they want John to go down as in a babyface match. And also, Gunther's legitimate as well. Former world champion, the ring general. He's one of the better guys in the ring. So I think that's kind of where they're going with this. They feel like Gunther can take care of this one. Like it makes sense. Because here's the thing, like I don't know why people care so much who the last opponent is. I think that what we should be focusing on is just his career. And everything that he's kind of done, and especially this year, with the feud with Cody and his feud with Dominic Mysterio and the heel turn and things of that nature. So uh, I don't. It's kind of like Undertaker's streak. Like, why did he have to end the streak? Like, does it really matter? It's kind of cool that it ended, and we have this WrestleMania moment, and John's going to have this match, and I think it's going to be a good one. It's going to be intense, and he's going to be over. It's going to be a babyface versus heel match. Couldn't ask for anything better, in my opinion. I don't see who else it could have really been to be legitimate. You're not going to put Baron Corbin in there. You're not going to put Chad Gable in there, right? You put someone semi legitimate that can make a good match.
No, I agree. I think of everybody in the last time is now tournament. I think Gunther was the best to put in, because honestly, people turned on Gunther really quick. They were really, really all for this guy, and then all of a sudden, when he loses to Jey Uso, they turned on him so quick. Like, oh, this guy sucks. Like, it wasn't like he really lost,
It
guys.
wasn't real. It wasn't
Jesus
real, guys.
Christ!
It
Like,
wasn't real.
oh God, Gunther, he sucks now. And he lost to Jey fucking Uso. But I think this is a good thing for him to help legitimize Gunther as a proper threat. It's like they're bringing back the Legend Killer gimmick. He put down Goldberg. He put down Cena. Why not have him go and goes, all of your favorites bow down to me? No one can, like, have him fucking go over like Cody Rhodes and have Cody chase Gunther for a while, because we're in a weird time in wrestling where we have two prominent babyface figures as champions, and like, you don't have any proper heels who are built up to challenge them in any legitimate way. So this will be great to build Gunther up and put him on that pedestal. Braun is slowly inching his way up to that platform to challenge him. Like, it would be so weird though to see the two faces lose at WrestleMania to the two new heels. I think if plans are going to be what they be, and they put Braun versus Punk, we know Braun will most likely get over. But whoever they put against Cody Rhodes, I don't think that will. I think Cody would go over unless something storyline wise changes that. But I think Gunther versus Cena is going to be a fun match. Did you know apparently they're going to put that match on first because Cena wants to highlight the talent NXT, that showcase stuff, versus his match?
Really?
Yeah,
That's kind of
I
I mean, that's kind of interesting.
you say that, but I think Cena just wants to go home early, which is going to lead into another part of our story later in the show. But otherwise, I think this is the best that we could have gotten. To be honest,
Yes.
this stupid tournament was thrown together last fucking minute, and you could tell by the people who were in it Like, God, Penta was in this shit. Like,
Yeah.
not nothing wrong with Penta guys. Don't get me wrong here, but putting like there's no build to these guys. There's no like you could have if they really did this, you could have illustrious promos, have everyone cut one why they want to be the one that shut Cena down, whatever. No, it was a haphazardly thrown together tournament, but they're doing the best of the chicken shit and trying to form a little bit of a chicken salad with it. Okay, how we got to talk about something that happened in this week's Raw. Everyone's favorite female darling, the quote unquote strongest woman wrestler on the roster. Let's take a quick peek at this.
This match in and of itself has been brutality personified, and again the body of Rhea Ripley just giving out. You simply don't see that happening. Those are the effects of War Games.
Listen, the brutality that happened in San Diego, there's
of War
no
Games.
denying what it has done.
Razor's Edge.
And then the missile drop.
Okay,
Ouch.
so I'm gonna call that a double botch. Well, it's a botch and a stupid move, and I mean that because Rhea Ripley can't control her strength, much less her fans. And watching her do that Razor's Edge and tumble backwards. Look, guys, I get it. Everybody botches once in a while. I mean, it's really hard to find botches from some of the big top guys. Like I be hard pressed to find a Bret Hart botch,
Or a Steamboat botch.
Steamboat botch, even a Hogan botch. I know Hogan didn't do a lot of the ring, but what he did, at least he didn't fuck it up.
Hey, what about lighting the thing on fire for the Ultimate Warrior?
He burnt himself. He botched himself.
No, I mean everyone makes mistakes, but that's kind of a bad one, right? Like a power bomb, fucking up. I mean, that's Draws broke his neck because someone botched a power bomb.
And
So
she looked silly doing it. That's the worst part. You start to take away the mystique of a character when you start doing stuff like this. Hopefully it was a one-off and she doesn't happen again. But the best wrestlers are the ones that hide their botches well that you don't even know they botched. Like Taker versus Austin at SummerSlam 98 when Taker came up too fast from the gut kick and hit Austin in the chin and knocked him out in the middle of their match.
yeah,
But they sold it and they were able to recover for it well. Wade Barrett tried to kind of like, oh, War Games got her all messed up. She can't control her strength or whatever. But another thing that pissed me off when they did this, the Razor's Edge was one of the most coveted and greatest moves like ever conceived. And Charlotte Flair bounced right to her feet before Rhea did, so she could take the fucking drop kick from you. Can we stop this nonsense, please, of getting up to your feet after taking a big move like that? No one is selling shit, and it's driving me up the fucking wall because it looks so god dang stupid.
on paper this should have been a great match, but they gotta slow it down. Like, and you know what's funny about this is when you botch a move like that. If I was Rhea, sell your back, do a little back thing, like, oh, my back hurts, and then tell Charlotte to knock the other one off the turnbuckle and just fuck up Ray's back. Like, you don't have to do the spot. Okay, if something happens, improv comedy, move in that direction, and then you can make up for it later, right? Like, they're just so obsessed with getting their spots in, and that's what I hate about wrestling is, like, it's okay to have a couple of big spots mapped out in the match, but don't set those in stone. Like, if you can't get it in, you can't get it in. If something happens, move with it. Like, that could have been a great little thing for the match. Like, oh, now Charlotte's gonna work Rhea's back for the rest of the match. That's how life is. Sometimes things happen we don't expect. We get hurt mid-match. Okay, freaking go with it. But they decided to go with the spot anyways, and it looked even more stupid. Like, we know it's fake, but come on, guys. Like, don't like during a magic trick, you know, it's not like the Amazing Jonathan where he shows you, the magnets or his rope has magnets in it just to make you laugh. Like, that's funny, right? But you don't want to see a magician show you the trick halfway through.
Yeah, this new generation of wrestlers, I don't think they've ever called spots in the ring and just worked the crowd based on feeling. like, oh, we'll call it. I know some of the greats don't do that. Like Macho and DDP were notorious for mapping out their matches move for move. But you're talking about two of the all-time greats, like the guys who've worked hundreds of thousands of matches in their lifetime doing stuff like that. And so it's this like naivete of these wrestlers, like, oh crap, I bought. Okay, we'll just redo the move and everything will be okay. This is the internet, man. This shit is written in ink. It's live TV. They could probably re-edit that before and show, like, oh yeah, there was no real botch and cover for it. But you can't do this shit. And you're absolutely right. They should have turned the page. All right, let's slow it down, Solid. Do a couple, take 30 seconds to reset stuff up and then maybe redo the spot afterwards and earn it. And then it would have made Rhea look like more of a beast when she got it up properly because, oh, she powered through her pain, yada, yada. But this is fairly inexcusable. And like I said, the greats will change a match type and what the match is supposed to be based on the audience in the ring. And if you need any evidence of that, go watch WrestleMania 18, Hogan versus Rock, when Hogan was going in as the heel, built up as the heel the whole time, and turned him face during that match. They literally changed the match in the ring because of what the fans were reacting to, and that's how it feels. And that's what the best matches are. They take the fans, guys, the fans are always the fourth character in every match because you got your two wrestlers, your ref, and the fans, and they're what make the match. And always the best matches of all time have the best fan interaction of all time. And right now you can see when you see this stuff happen, it's fucking crickets because the fans don't care. And when they don't care, no one else buys into it, which sucks.
Well, it's like, remember One Night Stand with Cena and Rob Van Dam where we were cheering, yeah, boo for each punch. And all of a sudden they started slowing it down. Like, okay, let's do, yeah, boo, and just let's go with the crowd. The crowd's moving us in that direction. So let's go in that direction. And it was great.
Yeah. They need a better agent to tell them the shit. Someone should go in the back and have them rewatch this match and ask them, like, is there no one that goes, okay, guys, that was a great going out there. Let's rewatch it. Tell me what you felt you've done. Tell me 3 things you did wrong and 3 things that you think went really well. And just go over it like that. There's no critiques of matches more. And I think I know why, which leads us to our next story. As Bailey has some harsh comments on a podcast where she talks about talent leaving shows early and she doesn't understand it. So if you guys can't read this, allow me to go through her quote. Bailey says, that just blows my mind. When I first got on the road at all the live events, it's like, okay, you always watch. Cena watched everything. Roman watched everything. Seth is always at that front monitor. If you're at the live events, you come back to the curtain, there's a monitor right there, and you have the talent viewing. I always like watching at that front monitor because you can hear the crowd better. And I also get to when the people come back, they ask Seth, oh, what'd you think? And then I can hear what he's saying to them, so I'm learning too. But lately, there are some people who just leave. Then Seth comes back for the main event and no one's there. You just ask for his advice and now nobody's there. That drives me crazy. Or if some people aren't on the show, they just take off and I just can't. I've had this conversation with some people and I just don't get it. It's different. I don't know what's missing. Or if there's something, like for me, I'm trying to lead by example. So I would hope that some of the girls see that I'm still here, or I'm not booked, but I'm in Gorilla, or I'm not booked, but I'm watching the girls' matches no matter what. And that would be like, oh, maybe I should stay too. Some may think like that, some may not. This blows my fucking mind that people, especially talent, are just so laissez-faire about their matches and their product. But you know what? You know what I have to say about this? Wrestling is so shitty now that even the talent won't watch it.
And that's my thing is, you're a professional wrestler, so you have to love this. Why on earth would you leave the show early? You have the best seat in the house. You can go up to Gorilla and sit next to Triple H and Bruce Pritchard and watch the match from the monitors and hear the crowd roar. You've got the best, probably the second best seat in the house. Like, I would never leave. If I was on the first match of the card, I'd be like, okay, great. Now I'm just going to plop a chair, get some popcorn, and just watch the rest of the freaking show. And you know what's funny about this? It reminds me of a story of back in the day in WCW, the wrestlers used to do that. They used to leave after their match. So when Booker T first went to WWF, he used to do that. And they started getting pissed at him. Like, why the hell are you leaving? Like, you're supposed to stay until the end of the show. And I guess that unwritten rule has now been broken, or I guess no one's abiding by it. And so it's so weird. It's like, why wouldn't you stay? Don't you want to see what other talent are doing? Are you really going to go back to your hotel room and watch it on demand? Go go see what they're doing, see who's reacting more, see how you can be better. Obviously, if you're not the main event, obviously you're not doing something right, because the main eventers are there. So you might want to sit there and watch them. You also might want to sit there and watch what everyone's saying about them. Don't you want to know what Bruce Pritchard is saying about, the, like, remember at the WWE Unreal where Bruce Pritchard kind of criticized Chris Park, the producer for the Punk Seth Rollins match. He kind of criticized it for being overproduced. It's like, okay, like, that match had too much. The next time I have a match, make sure to not put too much in there, because if you overproduce it, you're going to go over time. You know, but yeah, I agree with Bailey 100%, man. Like, you should be dedicated to this craft.
Yeah, it's like they don't care, and guaranteed money is killing this business. When I had first remembered during the Monday Night Wars when Vince was not doing guaranteed contracts and WCW was, let's really take a look at the difference. When your guys have that guaranteed money, there is no incentive to perform better. All you could have the greatest match of the night, or you could have the worst match of the night. Your paycheck's still gonna be the same thing, and people have gotten complacent. Worse, they've gotten lazy, and I think that leads to the way matches are booked, because they want to bounce from spot to spot. They want to get their moves in. They want to do everything that's written and scripted, because they want to get to the back as soon as possible, and they want to get fucking home. And it's
They're
bullshit.
pampered now too.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
they're only wrestling, what, 70 matches a year now. It's like,
Jesus, some guys used to do 70 almost in a month, because
yeah,
it's so freaking crazy. And there's, you have some guys that aren't even on the show week after week. I don't understand. And like you're saying, if you want to develop yourself properly and be something, a main eventer, and do something, there are so many people you can learn from to be better, and no one's doing it. I think Punk said it in his first DVD biop on WWE, the best in the world, how guys would be like checking the call sheet and praying their name wasn't there in a match so they could go home and still
yeah.
get paid for it and be happy about it. And Punk is old school and sees that like, what the hell are you doing? Well, I'm not going to be that guy. I love this business. This is my, and you can tell right now watching who are the people that love this business and who are there for a fucking paycheck. And guess what? Some of those names will fucking surprise you, because just by the way the quality of their matches are and how they're acting, how they're interacting, you can tell they're there just for a paycheck.
Yeah, and the thing is that people might criticize, why is all of WWE stars over the age of 35? Because those are the only guys that really give a fuck. Like, Cody Rhodes and CM Punk are champions right now because Triple H knows he can rely on those guys. He knows that they will deliver every single time, and he knows that they're still learning. What did CM Punk do after his Hell in the Cell match with Drew McIntyre, the 5-star match that just blew everyone away? He goes to the back and he asks Arn Anderson for advice about his match. What did you think about the match? What do you think I could do better? And Arn was blown away. He was like, he said that was such a humble thing to do, to go up to Arn Anderson and ask him. And he's like, obviously, Arn's like, the match was incredible. Like, you didn't have to ask me. You're the star. You're the biggest star in the business right now. But that's CM Punk, man.
Yeah, and people are wondering why WWE isn't making new stars, is because their new stars don't fucking care right now. Like
They're
they're
pampered,
there,
man.
yeah, they're getting their free money, or not free money. They're getting their easy money, and they're working exactly how they're being told to work. Something I did find interesting though, was Daniel Bryan made a comment about remember his 18-second loss to Sheamus at WrestleMania. They were asking him like, "Oh, how'd you feel about that loss? And what did you do anything different?" It's like, look, man, I was still fairly new at the time, so I was just taking orders. So when they told me, hey, this is what you're doing, this is that, okay, that's business. I'll just do what they're telling me to do, whatever. And he didn't fight back at all and say, I want to change anything. And I think even if it was the Vince McMahon era, I think Chris Jericho always says it best. Chris Jericho is always challenging. If he didn't like something, he would tell you, or I have a better idea, or come up with something, even in the position he was in before he was a main event top guy. Because he was like, look, this is how I feel. I don't think this is right. I'd rather do this. I think it was better. And Vince would always respect that, because what's the worst that Vince McMahon can do? He'll just tell you, no, we're going to do this way. At the very least, you can say, okay, I like this kid. He's got some edge to him. Let's do it. Let's do something with him. Let's push him forward. He's gotten ideas. Fine. That looks like you're fighting for your spot versus I'm a yes man. I'm just taking orders. Guess what? If you're just going to take orders and do the job and do whatever you said, you're just one rung above a jobber, which is the worst fucking thing you can be, because that's like LA Knight level.
And this is where the territory system comes into play. Like even guys like Punk, he wrestled for like $50 for a lot of years before he ever made it big. So he understands like hard work. And a lot of these kids now, they're just going to the performance center for, a few months, and they go on NXT and they think they're superstars already. And because they're on NXT and they're in video games and stuff like that. And then they get promoted to Raw. And it's like, the Kevin Owens and the Sami Zayns and the CM Punks of the world. And, they came up the hard way. That's like the last generation of guys that came up the hard way. And you can tell, once again, why they're always in main events.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like Joe Hendry might be the last guy that came up the hard way in WWE right now.
I think so. The last new guy, yeah.
Yeah, and he's just making it to the main roster right now. That guy's had over a decade in the business, and he's finally making it. But he worked some shitty low run matches to get where he's at.
He earned it, man. He fucking earned it.
Yeah. All right, some big news here. Netflix has announced the acquisition of Warner Brothers. So Superman and Batman are going to be on Netflix. But not only that, what is going to happen to the AEW deal now that Netflix is technically in control of the major wrestling market right now?
Well, so they're still they still own they're still going to keep Max, because remember HBO Max, like that brand still has a lot of power. So I don't think that they're just going to get rid of Max and just shove everything into Netflix. And secondly, it's kind of a good thing for Netflix to have two wrestling programs underneath their banner, because and they're on separate times, because now they've cornered the whole market. Could you imagine somebody swooping up and buying WWF and WCW in like 1998? Like, and get to keep them on their networks, on their respective networks. They'll be printing money. They're going to be printing money. So this deal is far but done. There's still a lot of obstacles. It's probably 12 to 18 months away from being finalized, but I don't see how, like, WWE is not going to have influence over AEW's contract with Warner Brothers, because they're both basically clients of this company. So they're it's not like WWE owns Netflix. They're just a client of them, and it's only a 5-year deal. So they could both be off these networks in 5 years. But it'll be interesting if they bundle things together, right? Like you get a HBO Max Netflix bundle, and now you got wrestling at your fingertips. I mean, it's kind of exciting.
I think AEW fans should be rejoicing that maybe they won't have to pay a pay-per-view fee to watch pay-per-views anymore when it goes on Netflix. I'm always indifferent about stuff like this because I don't like the consolidation of power or companies and things like that, because it leads to like a homogenization of quality. Like you usually have the same top people that made your product. Like it wasn't like Warner Brothers wasn't declaring bankruptcy or anything. They weren't in dire straits. They're doing fantastic. They're just launching, a new Harry Potter television series. They've got the DC movies and all the DC comics that are coming out and helping push them. So it wasn't like they were like It wasn't like Marvel in 1997. A lot of people don't remember this, but Marvel filed for bankruptcy in the late 90s, and the way they were able to get out of bankruptcy was they sold the movie rights of their characters to multiple different studios, which is why now people are like scrambling, oh man, Disney should buy out all the other companies that own these Marvel properties so they can do a all-inclusive Marvel thing. Yeah, hindsight's 2020 when you're in dire straits and you need to do something to keep yourselves afloat. Warner Brothers wasn't like that. Warner Brothers was, in fine financial shape, all things considering. Netflix bought them out as a way to expand their brand, not to save Warner Brothers, which brings up a lot of interesting things here. Netflix has an entire different philosophy on movie production and how things are going to be done
That's
and
what's
released.
this is gonna be very interesting for Hollywood, because of the just the way that the movies are gonna play out. A lot of people in the movie industry are worried that Netflix is not going to release things into theaters. I don't see that happening, but one caveat to this deal is that Netflix did not buy the networks, so they're not going to own the Warner Brothers networks. They only own the or going to own the streaming platforms and the movie distributions and the television distributions. So they'll get access to all of the original programming, all of the streaming platforms, and the film distributions. So the networks stay. They're going to spin those off into another company. But where it gets interesting is, obviously it's not wrestling related. Is this going to be the death of the movie industry, the movie theater industry? Who knows? But Netflix now owns a hefty chunk of the streaming was it like there was like five pillars of streaming companies, right? Now they
Mm-hmm.
own two of them, and this is crazy. And they have both wrestling on there.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, like, as far as killing the movie industry goes, because like think about this. Netflix now, with like you said, Vince always tried to push his talent into doing other stuff because it makes him more money. So Netflix on WWE on Netflix gave their stars opportunity to shine on Netflix and potentially be in Netflix shows and movies because there's a familiarity to it. I last weekend, or yeah, was it? Yeah, it was last weekend. I took my family to go see Zootopia 2, which featured Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes as characters in that movie. You could not tell it was them. They barely had any lines in the movie, which is disappointing. But they played a pair of zebra cop partners called the Zebros. But it was like I had to tell my wife it was them at the end of the movie because you couldn't tell at all. But there's that potential right there because when you keep showing the same like they have access to an unbelievable amount of data. They can literally go to a match on Raw and say who's watched really heavily during their match and whose matches are skipped. Oh, they're really watching Rhea Ripley matches. Can we get her in a next show somewhere to help boost that show's popularity? Okay, and it's an easy kind of ad in there. The same thing with Warner Brothers. Like, oh, cool, AEW guys in there. We've got a big action movie. Can we throw some AEW talent in there to do some of these fight scenes or whatever? Yada, yada, yada. Because that brings that familiarity and it brings that name recognition that gets people to want to watch. Because if you're already paying for the product, you have your fans are, okay, I'm an AEW fan. Oh, MJF's going to be in this Netflix show. I'll watch that Netflix show now. And you bump those numbers up. All they care about is subscribers and minutes watched. And so when it makes it easy to get both of those things up, they're absolutely going to do it. This deal is a drop in the bucket to Netflix as far as money is concerned, but it's going to lead to huge gains. And I'm very curious to what we're going to see the landscape in the next 3 to 5 years wrestling wise. But we'll see. Speaking of which, you sent me this. It's a Meltzer's take on it. Let's take a peek about what he said about this potential sale.
It could be going down within the next couple weeks, and Netflix and Paramount are the front runners. I believe Netflix has no interest in the cable side. For WBD, I think that there's the hope that it's Paramount, because Paramount is interested in keeping, the cable stations. Netflix does not want to own the cable stations, from what I hear. They just want they want the Warner Brothers movie library and HBO Max. How this would relate, how any of this relates to AEW, is all speculation. There's no way of knowing until the new people in charge are running it. There's some people who go like, "Oh, Paramount gets it. They have UFC, so they're going to cancel it for sure." Well, it's like, if they're going to keep TBS and TNT, I don't know about dropping the most popular programming on those stations, because TKO has a show on the station. That's not going to mean that somebody else can't have a show with another product. ESPN had UFC's deal, and they had the PFL at the same time. And that's the same business, not a different business. So the idea, I mean, I could be wrong. You never know what's going to happen, but I don't see the fact, if Paramount buys it, I don't see the UFC being on the Paramount streaming service having any influence on the idea of AEW on TBS and TNT.
Quick question: how long is AEW's deal with Warner?
I believe it was a 5-year deal. Let me double check.
Okay, yeah, that's big for them. And I mean, if you think they could land another network within those 5 years in the state they are today.
Probably not, because see, their deal is kind of different, and this is where it gets kind of tricky, because see, they have a deal with TNT and TBS, and they also put it on Max, and the deal lasts through 2027, so they've got 2 more years to be on TNT, TBS, pay-per-views on Max, and the library on Max. So whether or not they stay is interesting, because once again, they could go wind up in Paramount. They could wind up on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is dying for content. They are trying to get into this thing, and they just can't break through. So in that respect, Dave's probably right, and the point he's making is also going to translate to Netflix. Just because Netflix has a WWE show doesn't mean that WWE has any influence on whether AEW stays on, Warner Brothers television rights or on their streaming platforms. Where it does get interesting is whether or not AEW actually stays on those cable networks after the end of those 2 years, because those cable networks are being spun to a different company, and that different company might go, "Hey, you know what? We don't want you on TBS or TNT anymore." And then AEW is kind of forced to go 100% streaming, which I think is probably better for them, because I
Who still
don't know
watches
how many.
cable TV?
Yeah, I just don't see, and that way they could actually go to a streaming platform that's probably cheaper. Like, if I were Tony Khan, I would ride this deal out and I would go to Amazon Prime, because they'll overpay just to get some content. They overpaid for One Fighting Championships. Nobody watches. Only fighting nerds like me watches One Fighting Championships, and they're on Prime. So it'll be interesting to see how this affects AEW. My guess is that it takes them off the networks.
Very interesting. All right. Speaking of, big news, on to our main event. Former WWE writer Freddie Prinze Jr. claims that he was told that ESPN is not happy 3 months into their deal with WWE, and is quoted, "ESPN, by the way, is so unhappy with the deal. I was talking to a friend of mine who works for it, and he was just like, yo, they better make their money back on this deal." He just said, "They're hot." And we kind of knew this was lingering, because the alleged buy or subscriber counts after WrestlePalooza was something only like, 150,000 new subs. And that wasn't necessarily, again, that could not just be for WWE only. That could maybe be, there's no way of knowing. They're just estimating it, that these fans, based on the number of people who were watching WrestlePalooza happen. And again, a lot of that's on the fault of WWE, not just ESPN. And a lot of it's on ESPN, because they were rushing this thing. when this deal was first announced, go back to our first episode. The reason why we started this show was talking about WWE moving to ESPN. They were talking about a January release for their first PLE. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, like, no, we're going to do one in 6 weeks. And they threw it together. They scrambled, haphazardly threw this show together, brought in the biggest names that they absolutely could to help sell it. And even then, it was just too quick for people. Why? A lot of reasons why. Number one, you've already conditioned your audience that X number of dollars was worth their PLEs. And back in the WWE Network, it was $10. With Peacock, you could pay $12.99 for no ads or $7 with ads. Now you up the price to $30 fucking dollars and expect people to eat it and still smile? Absolutely not. But this, I mean, it's so bonkers, the idea of this deal and what they're doing and how they're going through. I 100% believe this is true, even if it's unfathomable, unwarranted. It feels like this is something that they're talking about in the scuttlebutt, because God, how much did they pay for the $1.5 billion to do all their PLEs on here for 5 years? And what is showing for it? Somebody did the math on this, and if they were going by subscriber counts alone, just pure subscriber counts, they would need 10 million new subscribers consistently throughout the duration of this 5-year deal to get their money back. Now,
well, they don't need straight subscribers to get their money back. What they can do is they can charge more for ads, and they can add more sponsors. And they can get all of WWE's sponsors as well. And this is where I want to challenge you on this one. This is one guy. This is why I hate the internet and wrestling. One guy goes out on Twitter and says, "By the way, I talked to a guy that I know in ESPN, and they say they're mad." And can you go to Sean Ross Sapp's tweet, because he literally says they haven't heard that chatter and they love working with WWE. So once again, rumors in wrestling like peanut butter and jelly, man.
okay,
I'm taking Freddie Prinze Jr. with a grain of salt.
Okay, all right, okay. Open your eyes, you son of a bitch, and read this for me real quick. What does this say?
A WWE higher up said no one is aware of Freddie Prinze Jr.'s role in wrestling or otherwise.
Yeah. So that is what they're responding to. They never directly responded to Freddie's quote. They just said no one knows that Freddie's role, and Freddie never said he had involved in wrestling. He just said, "Hey, I talked to a friend of mine who works at Disney," which Disney owns ESPN, and apparently people at ESPN are hot over this WWE deal. And why wouldn't you be? You're not seeing dividends. I will say this. They don't need 10 million subs. They're doing the thing that has never been done on major shows before. Put in fucking commercials. And they have commercials and fucking commercial breaks. There's advertisements all over the fucking ring. It looks disgusting for a wrestling program. I can't stand seeing commercials on. When I first saw commercials during WrestlePalooza, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a glitch. And I'm like, do we not have a non-ad version? Even if you have the no ad version on Netflix, you still get fucking commercials. So they're making their money back any way they absolutely can. And even if the product suffer for it, because at the end of the day, ESPN is not a producer, okay, of this content. They're just the publisher. So they have to do whatever they can to make their money's worth, even at the cost of the fans of the original product. Because, hey, they're the ones that are showcasing it. In my mind, I'm like, why would you pay for something you don't fucking understand it? This almost reeks of the ESPN TNT or the TNN deal with ECW, because they were ECW is desperate to get on TV. They'll take any fucking deal they possibly could. This goes back to what we were saying about guaranteed contracts and guaranteed money. WWE is sitting in a pool of guaranteed money right now. They've got guarantees from ESPN. They got guarantees for Netflix, and they have no fucking incentive to produce a good product within those 5 years. They just have to produce. And
No, they do have incentive to produce a product because a lot of their business is they still have tickets to sell and they still have merch to sell. They still have to generate revenue in other avenues.
but
TV
it's
distribution is
nowhere
now their
near as important.
well,
It's
yes, television is now their number one source of revenue. I will concede to that. I just feel like ESPN is just the wrong platform. I felt like they
Oh,
should have just went.
bullshit. You were singing there. Go back to episode 1, everyone, when this son of a bitch was singing their praises and said it was such a good idea. And he comes back here now and says this bullshit.
No, 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 no. Well, I feel like ESPN, like I think ESPN should have just kept UFC, and WWE should have went to either Paramount or Prime or Netflix or something of that nature. But I feel like ESPN just overbid for WWE, thinking they were getting this giant, and I just don't know what the numbers are, and I don't know what the viewership is because we just don't know.
I'll give Nick Khan a ton of credit because he sold these assholes a fucking lemon and pitched it like they were getting a fucking slice of Gordon Ramsay lemon cake because it was like the greatest thing ever, and they're eating fucking bullshit now, and there's nowhere for them to go because now they're stuck in this 5-year guarantee and it's a lull period. And you talk about ticket sales and merch, they're raising prices, so they're just bleeding their whales dry, and they're making the arenas smaller, they're going to smaller arenas, and they're still charging the same price for tickets. Look at this right here. We're going to zoom in so everyone can see it. This is WrestleMania 3, a ticket in the section 204 of the Pontiac Silverdome. Look at that price, $20, and that's in the second upper level. Okay, it's not even fucking floor seats. All right, it's the second upper level, and it costs $20. With inflation from 1987 to today, that ticket $57. You can't even get a bucket of popcorn in fucking Vegas in the Allegiant Stadium for $57, let alone a second row seat. You can't even get into the building for that price. And you're seeing WrestleMania 3, one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time. And it's that, and they're just killing it that way. And they're going to keep shrinking their arenas and going smaller. AEW's doing it right now. Like God, well, some of their shows only had like 400 fucking people in it. And it's not to say WWE is on that level yet. They're going to be that bad. But it feels very 1997-esque. We're like, it's almost like WWE is a hybrid of WCW and themselves back in 1997, where they're corporate owned, they have guaranteed contracts, there's zero incentive to perform, and they are not doing well inside. They're shrinking their markets more and more, and there's no fucking reason to do anything and do anything great or big because you just have this guaranteed money coming in. All you're doing is going and say, okay, let's just do the show and do this. They're not thinking about how to make the show better, to grow, to increase our audience size, to get more events out there, to sell more tickets, and to fill those arenas.
Well, I do agree that the guaranteed money through these streaming platforms, as opposed to like making people buy on pay-per-view and like, okay, well, if we don't put on a good pay-per-view, no one's going to buy it. I agree with that. And I think that it's starting to show in some of the PLEs. But remember, ESPN is only the PLEs. And now now Raw is on Netflix, and they're guaranteed that money. So now what are we getting on Raw? However, that doesn't mean that they still don't have a passion to do well. I don't think Triple H wakes up every morning and goes, "Okay, guys, let's go ahead and phone it in." They wouldn't have gotten Breaker going the way they were if they just wanted to phone it in. They would just have Punk wrestle LA Knight and go, "Okay, let's just get or have Punk wrestle Jay again, just so people can go yeet 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 and get everybody going and stuff like that, just to say they did something different." Their actions don't quite equate. I think they are trying. I just think they've kind of hit a lull. That's what I feel. I just feel like, eh, things have cooled down a little bit since, the bloodline kind of drained out and we finished Cody's story. And now we've got to move on from that. I don't feel like they're phoning it in. But then again, they have incentive to. I just don't see it happening. I think they're trying. I just don't think that they're just not as successful as they were in 2023.
Well, it's
I think you're just doom and gloom right now. You are doom and gloom, man. You are on
the
one.
show is called Wrestling is Now Shitty Midnight, not Wrestling Can Be Better. Like, it certainly can be, but I'm saying right now the product is suffering, and no one is taking any critiques about it. They are fucking coasting, and they're just gonna ride the coast out until the money dries up with no plan or incentive when that happens. And when that ship finally fucking crashes, the business that we love, the one that we don't want to see die, might just do that, and I don't want to see it happen.
Well, what I think they need to do on these ESPN PLEs, they need to go back to having 7-8 matches on these PLEs. Like, get some people in there.
Get
Like,
some fucking people over.
Yeah, like
Showcase
maybe
your
bring
talent.
Why can't you bring someone like get the lead angle from NXT to open up the show? Those are going to be young kids. They're going to be hungry. It's kind of like the cruiserweights at the beginning of Monday Nitro, right? It's like, okay, like let's have a car crash. Let's get the people going. Let's introduce them. And they can go, by the way, you can watch these guys on NXT on USA Network this Wednesday or whatever, right? So I think that, yeah, they can do that. And I think that's what they need to do. I don't know why they just assume like 4 matches is good enough.
Why? Because they're coasting. They don't need to spend the money on the talent when they can bring in just a few people and showcase them.
But they're guaranteed
matches.
Money. They're guaranteed money.
Exactly.
Fucking use them, man. Fucking use them.
Why? They guarantees all out the ass makes you fucking lazy, which is a damn shame. Well, all right, guys, that is all the time we have for this week's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're really excited. Check out our review of Saturday Night Main Event on next week's show. But until then, I am Dr. Legend signing off for midnight. So long, guys, and we will catch you next week.